Welcome. Welcome to you all, and especially to anyone joining us for the first time today, and of course our visitors from Brighton. Hello, it's wonderful to see so many familiar faces and also some new ones too, so we're delighted to have you with us this morning. Indeed, however and wherever you're joining us from today, you're welcome, with your joys and your sorrows, your anticipation and your apprehension, your faith and your doubt, your optimism and your concerns. You are invited to be here just as you are. And I shall begin by lighting our chalice, as is our symbol of a free Unitarian faith. And if you happen to have a candle with you, then please do feel free to light one with me now. But if not, that's not a problem. This flame is for all of us. We light this flame to mark this moment that unites us, as we remember, once again, that we share a common humanity. We are breathed by the same spirit, nourished by the same planet, spinning in the same universe. This simple light offers us a point of connection, and for all our glorious diversity, it is a symbol of our unity. So tomorrow is the start of Dying Matters Awareness Week, and Dying Matters exists to encourage a more open culture in which it's okay to talk about death, in which people feel able to listen and support those who are planning for their end of life, as those as well who are dying or have been bereaved. And this year the theme of the week is, are you in a good place to die? In other words, have you had the conversations, made the preparations you can that will help you to die well when the time comes? However, of course, dying is an inevitable and essential part of living. And the question, are you in a good place, feels like one we might also want to ask about our lives right now. And as we come out of lockdown, with all that that entails. But let's begin with a prayer, a time to settle ourselves, a time to breathe. Spirit of life and love, be with us now. We come to give thanks for our many blessings. We yearn to connect with our deepest selves and with each other and with the great mystery that is you. May we be prepared to give of ourselves, of our time, our attention, and our willingness to reach out across space and dimension. May we be ready to receive whatever moments of grace or inspiration may appear. Let us open ourselves up to the possibility of your presence and guidance in this hour and beyond. Spirit of all that is, and was, and ever shall be with us now. Amen. So we're going to sing now, and I don't know whether you know this hymn. I know that when you go to different congregations, one of the things you discover quickly is that people in different places know different hymns. And one that's well known in one place is not known at all somewhere else. I'm not actually sure that this one isn't well known in Plymouth, to be honest, so maybe Brighton will know it better, but I really like the words of it, and I decided to choose it for today because, after all, no one's going to hear you, so, you know, if you get the tune wrong, it doesn't really matter. So this is hymn number 152. It's in the purple hymn book, if you have it. Thanks be for these. 152. That was marvellous, thank you. I might just let you know that we've been doing online services for a long time now, but we are gradually shifting towards doing blended worship, as I know many of us are. So we're operating a slightly different system today. So we hope it's going to work, but well, it'll all be fine because that's how it is. But I just want to let you know if it's the odd glitch, that's why. And I consider yourselves part of our ongoing project into blended worship, and we're very happy to have you with us on that journey. But I'm going to start with a story, which is what we tend to do. And this one is, well, it's called Concentration and Compassion, and it comes from the book by the same name, the anthology by Bill Darlison. And this particular story comes from the Buddhist tradition. Once there was a young Chinese man called Ling. He left home and he went off in search of wisdom. He wanted to know the most important things in life, how he could live happily without causing pain to other people. He went from teacher to teacher, but none of them seemed to be able to answer his questions. Eventually, he came across an old monastery in a very secluded and remote part of the country. He asked to see the abbot, and he was granted an audience. "What are you seeking, my son?" asked the abbot. "I want to know how I can live happily without causing pain to others," replied Ling. "And also, is it possible to learn this quickly?" Replied the abbot. "Well, first of all, you must tell me something about yourself. What have you done with your life so far? What have you studied? What are you good at?" "I've not studied much, and I'm not really very good at anything," said Ling. "I come from a wealthy family, though, and to be honest, I spent most of my time in idleness. I can play chess, though. I passed many enjoyable hours playing with my father's servants, and I'm actually quite good at it." The abbot thought for a moment, and then said, "I think I can help you. But first you must promise to do whatever I say without question." Ling tentatively agreed. The abbot called to one of the brothers and told him to set up a chessboard. He said, "Brother Rue, when you entered this monastery many years ago, you promised you would obey any order I gave you, no matter how difficult or dangerous the task. Well, today I'm really going to test your obedience. I want you to play chess against this young man. He says it's the only thing he does well, so he's probably quite good at it. But this will be no ordinary game. Whoever loses will have his head cut off." And with these chilling words, the abbot took a huge sword from behind his chair and held it menacingly above the chessboard. Ling and Rue were in no doubt that he was serious. The game began. At first, Ling was so nervous that he made elementary blunders and lost some important pieces. He could feel the sweat trickling down his neck. His hands were clammy, and his mouth was dry, a bit like mine, actually. But then, as he began to concentrate and focus his attention on the game, his position improved. And now his opponent became agitated and started playing erratically, losing one piece after another. Ling looked carefully at him. He seemed kind and intelligent, and his face showed the wisdom that had come from many years of study and meditation. "How can I let this man die?" he thought. "His life is worth much more than mine." And so Ling started to play deliberately badly, so that Rue could win. As the game was nearing completion, and Ling had resigned himself to his fate, the abbot suddenly struck the chessboard with his sword, scattering the remaining pieces all over the table and the floor. "The game is ended," said the abbot, "and no one will lose his head. Turning to Ling, he said, "Only two things are required in this life, and you have displayed them both today. When you were playing the game, you concentrated with all your might, because your life was at stake. But then you realised you had an opponent who had a right to live too, perhaps even more so, and you showed pity. You have answered your own question. The most important things in life are concentration and compassion. If you cultivate these two virtues, then you will live happily, and you won't cause pain to others." We're going to have a reading now, and our reading is going to be shared with us by Joan. She has pre-recorded this reading from a Jewish book of comfort. Thank you, Joan.
The following reading is a poem by Alvin I. Fine entitled "Birth is a Beginning" from a Jewish book of comfort. Birth is a beginning, and death is a destination, and life is a journey, from childhood to maturity, and youth to age, from innocence to awareness, and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness and back, we pray, to health again, from offence to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until, looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage to life everlasting.
Thank you very much, Joan, for that reading. And so we come to a time of reflection, and I invite you into a time for some silence, which you might like to use for your own prayer, or meditation, or contemplation. And if you would like to share a joy or a sorrow in your life at the moment, then I invite you to write in the chat box, if you would like to. So let's just share some silence together.
heals thy sadness at her shrine. Music, music ever divine. Music, music calleth with voice divine. When the welcome spring is smiling, and the flowers of earth beguiling, after winter's weary rain, sweetest music doth attend her heavenly harmonies, doth lend her, chanting praises in her train, chanting praises in her train. Art thou troubled? Music will calm thee. Art thou weary? Rest shall be thine. Rest shall be thine. Music, source of all gladness, heals thy sadness at her shrine. Music, music ever divine. Music, music calleth with voice divine.
Thank you for sharing your joys and concerns with us. And also I see your comments about a beautiful voice, which it certainly was. Are you troubled? Or are you in a good place right now? And if you answered, yes, I'm in a good place, I wonder what you mean by that. It's become something we say, or not. Do you mean that you have your life all planned and sorted? If so, great, I'd love to meet you. Or perhaps you mean that you have a sense at the moment that you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Maybe it means you'd feel able to describe your life, both to yourself and to others, as though it made some kind of sense. Or maybe it's just a way of saying, I'm okay, thanks. Thanks for asking. And possibly waving away any further awkward questions. Like death cafes, which we've held here with friends from Brighton who are here today, Dying Matters Awareness Week asks us, are we in a good place to die? Which sounds a bit of a riddle, but really just means, have we thought about it? Have we considered, for example, where we'd like to die, at home or in a hospice perhaps? Have we written down an advanced plan for the kind of treatment we would like to receive or would not like to receive. It means, are we able to talk about how we feel about dying and have conversations with friends and loved ones about how they feel about it too? And have we taken any practical steps like making a will, planning a funeral, generally getting our affairs in some sort of order? Well, have you? It's definitely tempting to put these things off. I know I had to be chivied into making a will by people who are here today, and they know who they are. Thank you. And perhaps we put it off partly because thinking about death hinges on taking one first essential step, which is to look at the inevitability of death, our death, squarely in the face. To befriend the only final destination that is available to us, on this earth at least, with interest and curiosity, rather than fear and denial. Our culture is still one that's not really comfortable with dying. We still see it as a failure and a tragedy. And though, of course, the loss of a loved one, particularly when that loss comes early or in difficult circumstances or is someone really close to us, of course, it can be heartbreaking. But death itself is surely the gift that's calling us home, as some of you will have heard Rhiannon Giddens singing earlier. And thanks to Nick for suggesting that music this morning. But not only that, the quality and the honesty of our relationship with our death profoundly shapes and colours how we live. In our story, the young seeker Ling wants to know how to live happily without causing pain to others. He seems like a nice boy, though not for him a lifetime of patiently sitting in silent meditation. He wants quick answers. The older and wiser abbot understands how the spectre of impending death can focus the mind wonderfully. And so Ling finds himself playing chess with a sword literally hanging over his head. And at first it's as though he's never played before in his life. He panics and he makes rookie errors. He loses pieces in much the way he risks losing his head. But after a while he settles and finds his centre. And when he focuses his mind and concentrates on the situation in front of him and on what he needs to do, he begins to play well. And so we might now expect Ling to go ahead and win the game in order to save his life. But something surprising happens. There is a moment in which he lifts his eyes and looks at his opponent for the first time and finds himself suddenly struck by Brother Ru's qualities, which he sees are at least equal to, if not greater than, his own. And in this simple but startling moment, it's a moment of perception in which Ling changes tack, and he chooses instead to lose the game deliberately. The sword of death hanging over him is no longer a source of fear, to be avoided at all costs. Rather, now it offers up to him a reason to love and an opportunity to do what's right. He has made his peace with it. And so we could say that Ling finds himself in a good place to die, which it turns out is also a good place to live. It is the way of concentration and compassion, in which we may find happiness without causing harm. In these limbo-like weeks, we are in the process of making a transition, not from life to death, although of course we are always making that transition, but from lockdown to freedom. Some of us may feel excited. Others of us may feel apprehensive. Or maybe, like me, you feel a mix of emotions about how this long-awaited emergence feels and what kind of world it is that we are re-entering. And that's fine and normal and inevitable. And just as there's no benefit to be gained from denying our mortality, there is no benefit either in suppressing any difficult or confusing feelings that we may have. They are simply part of life and to be accepted. What matters is only what we do with them. And so how about we take on board the teachings of Dying Matters Awareness Week and apply them to our living too. Let's take time and make space for each other to talk about how we feel and think about what might help us navigate the changes ahead. Let's do what we can to ease this strange and unfamiliar journey for ourselves and for each other, and make plans for it as best we can. Let's pay attention to what is real and true for us, and choose to meet each day with an open mind and a loving heart, with curiosity and compassion. And then whatever happens, for we can never know, either in our living or in our dying, quite what the future will hold. But whatever happens, we can have faith that the spirit of love will be with us, and that we will be in exactly the place we're meant to be, which is in a good place. Blessed be. Let's sing. And we're going to sing another hymn from our purple hymn book, which is number 116, 116. Oh, let us now our voices raise.
Amen.
Thank you for joining in with the singing. So, some closing words. Birth is the beginning, and death a destination. And life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage to life everlasting. May we each live that journey well, with attention and loving compassion for ourselves, for each other, and for the world. Blessed be.